Thank you. We'd like to start the regular press conference. Minister Motegi. Minister, the floor is yours. I do not have any opening statements to make. I will be happy to take your questions. Please go ahead. Thank you. We'd like to take questions now. Please raise your hand. When you're designated, please come to the stand microphone and state your name and affiliation. First question, please. Please go ahead. NHK Yamamoto here, NHK. There will be G7 summit meeting to be held in the UK this year. This will be the first face-to-face international conference for Prime Minister Suga. What outcome would you expect, Minister, out from the G7 Leaders Summit? And also, with regard to leaders, is there a possibility of the leaders meeting between Japan, US, and Korea? Now, Mr. Sullivan, Special Advisor to the President, has said that there are no such plans. Is that the same recognition on the part of the Japanese government? Well, first of all, as far as the G7 summit is concerned, this will be held this week. And with regard to the details of the agenda, I believe that the chair country, which is the United Kingdom, is coordination right now. In the case of such international conferences, what type of agenda will be set? They actually will be coordinated, and there could be last-minute changes in many cases. But in any event, as far as the UK government is concerned, they have already announced externally that they would like to identify central themes as response to COVID-19, supply of vaccines, climate change, and education. They have already made such an announcement externally. As far as Japan is concerned, with regard to such issues, as well as important issues for the international community, such as the global economy and the regional situation, bearing in mind the result of the G7 foreign ministerial meeting, we would like to lead the discussion at the G7 toward the formulation of international order in the post-COVID era. Now, on the fringe of the G7, what type of bilateral or other meetings will be held? That will be coordinated from this point going forward. But at this moment, nothing has been fixed at this point in time. Thank you.
The next question, please, Sushiro-san. Sushiro Richard, Indonesian media, about COVAX. COVAX. $8.3 billion was the target value, but the result has exceeded this to a great deal. So last week, for 2 days from Japan, $800 million. So in total, $1 billion will be contributed from Japan. And funding from Japan will account for more than 12% of the target. So what sort of significance does it have for Japan? I believe, I understand if it's a company, for example, they have a capital like 80% and so on. But what sort of significance does it have for Japan? On the 2nd of last week, Japan and Gavi co-hosted a COVAX vaccine summit meeting. And for developing countries, safe, effective, and quality vaccines should be accessed in an equitable manner. So securing an access was the purpose, and including developing countries from international community. There is a great deal of interest in this summit meeting. And from Japan, proactive contribution has been made. Japan urged other countries and so on. And by the end of 2021, the developing countries' population 30% can be covered, and 1.8 billion shots will be secured. $8.3 billion will be exceeded. So we were able to secure such an amount. On the 15th of April, there was a preparation meeting, and after the preparation meeting was finished, $1.7 billion was the funding gap. So within 1 month and a half, this $1.7 billion gap was filled very quickly, and that was a very important major outcome, I would say. From Japan, COVAX to a COVAX facility, Japan is one of the co-host countries, and to achieve a universal health coverage. Up to this point, Japan has been exercising leadership over these initiatives. So on top of $200 million, nearly $800 million will be contributed to develop a cold chain. Continuing last mile support will be continued. And when the environment is ready at an appropriate timing, vaccines are produced in Japan, 30 million doses will be contributed through COVAX and so on vis-à-vis countries. Bilateral and multilateral provision will be made. That is the view of Japan, which was expressed at the summit meeting. When it comes to the spread of vaccines from production to sources, distribution, and then actual vaccination, the entire process has to be supported. So Japan co-hosted this Vaccine AMC summit, emphasizing multilateralism, and was able to contribute to securing funding that is immediately necessary from the viewpoints of sourcing and distribution of vaccines to the international community. This was a significant contribution, highly appreciated by other countries in my view. So the pledge amount was, after the US, Japan is number 2. It's not, regardless of the contribution amount, in areas such as multilateralism and so on, who should exercise leadership? Japan is playing such a role, and I believe this is very significant.
Any other question? If not, thank you. Then please go ahead. I apologize for repeating the question. With regard to the, are you going to take part in the election for the LDP presidency? Well, with regard to the upcoming House of Representatives election, I will be standing from District 5 of Tochigi Prefecture. Thank you. Anything else?
That's all for today's press conference. Thank you very much.